Morning, morning. What's the world made of? Scientists keep going in rabbit holes, studying this and that, like amplifying and analyzing different things, making this rabbit hole deeper and deeper. We have photons, now we don't have photons, we have only waves. We have a dual system, it's the light is wave and a particle. Now it's actually something else. And they have books and formulas. You can feel like a whole building with books about the photons, and now all that stuff is garbage. There's no photons. 100 years later, there's no photons, it's just a wave. And now they come with the quantum theories, and they deny some of the old theories with Einstein's and relativity and stuff. Okay, what's all this about? What it is, it's a field. It's a field that is modulated field of energy. And I mentioned that it's actually a thought into a creator system, like some programmer created a program, like a game, and we are character of the game. So we could say that's either a hardware somewhere in different space, or it's a god, the way the religious people think. It's a god, and we are all in his mind. So we are alive into the God's mind. God imagined everything and gave freedom to some of his mini thoughts, which are us and other creatures. And we roam around into a virtual world, into a God mind. But in our practical lives, what this is, if you want to come down to earth, it's a field which is modulated. It's like you take this field of, let's say, magnetic field and concentrate it. So you can modulate the gravitational field. You can have waves of gravity. Same thing, you can have waves of light. And you can have these waves of gravity, like an intense field, less intense field. If you modulate those fast enough, you get some variation, you get some sort of a concentrated wave. Same thing with the light. And for us, for our senses, that modulated field, we call it light because we can detect it. Our sensors can detect that stuff, but actually is nothing. So with our senses, we can touch that field when it's concentrated enough, so it's powerful enough to feel it through our senses. Understand? Same thing with this modulated field. It makes sounds. Depends how it's modulated, how those frequencies of modulation are created. And if you modulate that field in certain way, we create atoms, which is a field that have some sort of a clusters of that field moving around, but it's more of a concentrated field. So the old days, and I give this explanation to my listeners, old days the engineers designed TVs by modulating the electronic field beam. So because at the time they thought we have electrons, so the free electrons coming out of the cathode of the ray tube, of the cathode ray tube, CRT, were going through a field that was modulated by some coils, and that beam of electron was moving on the screen and was hitting some photosensitive substance and was creating light. Same thing in here in the retina. The light is coming to your retina and is causing the retina to trigger some electrical signals all the way to the brain. So that's the way you sense the light. So light is a kind of a lighter form of field. The field is not that strong, but when this light it's more concentrated, you can get different things. right? So same thing with a beam of electrons. If you strengthen that field, you can even get a beam that is cutting, right? That's why we have cutting tools using electron beams. We have microscopes and stuff like that. So that means that electron, you can feel it. You can cut your fingers or you can feel it. Like a plasma or a corona field. You can sense it at your fingers. Why? Because your fingers are made out of the concentrated modulated field, and the power of this beam that comes to your finger, it's stronger. It's going to destroy or affect the structure of your finger and sensor field. Okay, so we are all a field. So God made this thing out of light.